This conference will now be recorded.
All right. So we were discussing about this deployment types, and I've given a pause here after this. So let me know if you have got any questions at this stage. Okay. So today also will be a theoretical session, and from tomorrow onwards, I'll cover the topic and then I will show it in the portal. So have you got any questions now? So I'll take silence as no. Now let's move on to this service types. So as you know, in the market, there are multiple cloud service providers like AWS, GCP, and Azure. So each and every environment has got different types of deployment types. It means based on the service that you are going to use in cloud platform, your deployment type will be segregated based on that. Let's say if you deploy a virtual machine, it is coming under infrastructure as a service. If you are using Office 365, it is a software as a service. If you are using some other services like inbuilt ready-madely available services, you call it as platform as service. There is nowhere it is mentioned clearly that this category will come under platform as a service, this category will come under infrastructure as a service. It all depends on how you are going to deploy on the subscription. Okay, how you are going to create on your Azure portal. Okay, similarly, let's consider this service types. So in the market there are different types of industries. Let's say manufacturing industry and technology industry, insurance industry, marketing industry. Likewise, there are different types of industries, aviation industry, like in the market. So each and every industry will have different set of strategies. Now, when you consider different types of industry, I'm sure each and every industry is using some sort of technology, whether it is banking industry, finance sector, manufacturing, or IT services, whatever it is going to be a technology driven companies. So any company you take, they are using some sort of technologies. Nowadays, it is even more. 99% of their services are based on technology. If you consider banking sector, you are using mobile applications, right, for internet banking, and that is for end user purpose only. But when it comes to internal employee management and all the finances management in the banking industry, they might be using hundreds of applications. For loan processing, they will be using some applications. For mortgage loans, personal loans, it is totally different. It means they are using multiple set of applications. Now, as a banking customer or as a banking industry representative, I don't want to put all my servers, storage, databases, networks in public cloud platform. It means since it is very crucial and it is having a financial data, I'm going to securely store in a secured data center where it has got multi-level of security. Okay, so it means when you have such kind of requirements depends on your sector. When it is a service based company, I'm going to use public cloud directly. When it is a banking sector, I'm going to use a private cloud data centers. So I'll repeat, I'll cover the differences now here, then I'll come back to that industries example. So now when you consider public cloud, even in Azure itself, when we were discussing about data center concepts, the basics of data centers, you have seen Azure government data centers regions, Azure China, Azure Germany. So these are specific data centers where they will only allow their customers. Generally, Azure is a public cloud platform. So it means why I'm saying that one is it is publicly available for majority of the customers, majority of the users or customers. can use Azure if they have subscription, or if they are able to create a subscription for their business requirements. Even you, if you have a requirement, if you want to start some small company, yes, you can go ahead and deploy a server and use all this if you have required amount of investment, right? You can do on your own. There is no restrictions here. Whereas if you want to build your own data center, it will take a huge capital. You need a lot of capital to invest on that data center, which we call it as capital expenditure, capex, opex, like operational expenditure and things like that. So public cloud means it is available for most of the users in the public. However, within this public cloud data centers, there are some data centers which are dedicated for few institutions like Azure governments, Azure China. They are dedicated for that specific customers. Now, since majority of the customers can use Azure, it is called as public cloud platform. So anyone can use, anyone can build their services, and anyone can deploy whatever they want, they can do. When it comes to private cloud, here it is not possible that everyone can use this one, because it is restricted to only few organizations. Let's say I am from HDFC Bank. I don't want to use public cloud platform because of security and legal issues, right? So in this case, I'm going to reach out to private cloud service providers. You might have heard there is a vendor called Rackspace. These guys will develop cloud data center which are dedicated to only specific customer. Let's say I'm from HDFC Bank, as I said. For me, I want a data center where it should provide cloud capabilities, but that should be dedicated to only HDFC Bank. So I can reach out to these guys and I can ask them to build private cloud for my business. It means it means you are able to segregate your business based on the functionality of your business and based on your legal issue, like legal constraints on your country, based on the industry that you have. You can go for public or you can go for private. Okay, so within Azure, I can say that Azure government is a private cloud environment. It means it is dedicated to only Azure government, but it will still have cloud capabilities like all of this: on demand self service, broad network, resource pooling, everything will be there. Okay, right. Just give me a second. I am verifying here. Right. So that's the difference between this public and private. Now, when it comes to hybrid cloud, it is a combination of both public and private. It means you are going to use both public cloud and private cloud services for your business. So this is the trend that it is happening nowadays. Everywhere it is hybrid cloud platforms or hybrid setups, which means some sort of applications should be securely accessible only for their employees, and some sort of applications should be accessible for public users. So in that case, they are going to segregate and they are going to use both public and private cloud services to have this kind of scenario. 99% it is hybrid cloud, except government, defense, aviation kind of data centers. So these are purely hybrid. Like let's say even banking industry is hybrid, I would say, because for the users like us, let's say you are using a mobile app from SBI or HDFC Bank, it should be accessible to you through the public internet because you're accessing your public, I mean, mobile data or whatever the network that you have, you are going to access it through the public internet. However, their servers, applications, and which are related to their internal finance management. Let's say if you go to bank, there will be number of employees who will be using their applications to enter cash flows and all these things, order books and all. So they are going to deal with that applications internally, and those are not accessible from the public internet. It is directly for them through private networks. So it means each and every organization has got hybrid cloud setup where they are using for their business needs. So these three concepts will be looking like a tricky, and I'm going to share some sort of documentation including all of these characteristics after this session today. Uh, it will be easy for you to understand better about all these concepts. Okay, so any questions here?
Anna, these Rackspace guys, they just build and give, or they're just kind of implementers of market cloud public and how it is, you know?
Okay, they will be managing, as I said, when it is a cloud data center. If you compare with this, not this one, like infrastructure as a service model and these models, like there are some components where Rackspace will be managing, like network and everything, they'll be managing, but all of the
Hmm.
applications and data that should be managed by yourself. It means it is your requirement to host application. Of course, they can help you on application development also, but the thing is, it will go into a different route where you are going to give a project to them to build like this. If you are totally relying on data center, they'll work only on data center level. It is all between the
Even
contract. Yeah,
contract, yeah. Yeah, you mean
yeah,
like
yeah,
the entire hardware will be belongs to us, even the premises will be ours, and they
exactly.
just build and give.
Yeah, yeah. It can be, yeah, it depends on your agreement, right? So whether
Agreement.
you are going to provide hardware to them and then get it built, or if there is a model for them like, okay, we will provide everything to you, you guys just give me some amount. So that's likewise, they can have different types of agreements.
It is pretty old కదా Rackspace ముందు ఉంటుండే
Yeah,
2006
yeah,
around
it
లో
was very it's very old.
బిఫోర్ AWS we used to అది ఇప్పుడు ఏదో
Yes.
VMs ప్రిపేర్ చేస్తుంటాం కదా.
Yeah, yeah. That was like old model, but still it is
Yeah.
exist. It exists, and they are coming. They are coming into. They have got like public cloud as well.
Rackspace na?
So
Okay,
yeah, yeah,
okay, okay, that's nice. Okay, okay.
right. Any other questions? Okay. I say service. I wanted to discuss about that one. I call storage as a service. I call virtual machine as a service. I call app service as a service. Okay. Anything that you use here in Azure, you can call it as a service or resource. You should understand that these terminologies. You can call it as a service or a resource. So when I say resource, it is not a term that is related to HR, human resources. In that area, resource is nothing but an employee or a candidate. But here, when I say a service, when I say a resource, it is a technical capability that we are going to work. Let's say I am using mobile application, so I call it as a mobile app service, right? You are using Amazon Prime for watching videos. I call it as a Prime service. The name of that application is Prime, but still it is a service. So in a common terminology, I'm using it as a service. But when you work on together, when we work on these applications, Yeah, who is this?
I'm lucky to
Right. What was that I was discussing? Okay. Yeah, service. So generally we are calling it as service because we are not discussing specifically on any service at this stage. Let's say I was speaking about this storage account. Yes, you can call it as a service. And I was giving an example of Amazon Prime. It is a service, but when you consider a specific name, it is called Amazon Prime service. Okay. So when I say a resource, I can call my virtual machine as a resource. I can call my storage account as a resource. Can you create a storage resource? Can you create a VM resource? Right? So we will be seeing all that when we discuss about resource groups. That will be the next concept, not today. When we discuss about this resource group, I'm going to explain all these services and resources. Okay. Any other questions?
Close.
Right. So looks like everywhere it is raining, it seems. Most of the people have responded to my message saying that they're not able to join because of some error. But let's keep today's session short. So before we close, I'm going to show how the data centers are built inside. So as we are discussing cloud platforms, it is nothing but, if you look at the definition, it runs from a data center where the major service providers like Microsoft, Amazon, Google has deployed, and you can use those data center services using a subscription model that we have discussed already. So this is something additional that I'm giving here to make you understand better. So each and every data center will be like very huge in size. And if you consider Microsoft Azure data centers, it has got 54 Azure regions. And if you combine AWS and GCP regions, Microsoft Azure has got very huge, or I can say biggest footprint across the globe. When you compare it with together, AWS and GCP together, Microsoft Azure has got largest capacity because of their business model and the business that it is getting from the world market. So as you know, most of the organizations are technology driven, whether it is a manufacturing industry or aviation industry, whatever it is, there is a technology here and there. Even for like to perform even small task, you are going to use some applications, right? Nowadays, even for writing your all the notes, you are using your systems, and everything is technology. That's the simple thing I'm just giving. So everything is technology driven. So because of this COVID, it has been even uh, more. So it means whoever was using traditional methods, because of this COVID, there is a uh, 20x spike in this cloud world where all the organizations wanted to have this remote capabilities, and they wanted to use cloud platforms for their future goals to achieve the business. So when I say business, data center is a business model for Microsoft. I mean, in the form of cloud platform. And for the banking industry, to get the deposit and to sell the credit cards and to sell the loans, it is a business for HDFC Bank or whatever the banking industry. So for each and every industry, there will be a business model where they are going to gain out of it, and it is a kind of a mutual benefit for the technology industry and the service industries and whatsoever it is, they are depending on some other industries to gain their business. It is a kind of mutual benefit. So that is where, because of this COVID, it has been even increased, where all the companies are moving towards a digital transformation from their traditional methods to cloud methods or artificial intelligence, machine learning, whatever it is. So they are considering it all these methods. Okay. So 54 is the biggest number. When I say 54 regions, it means in each and every region there will be hundreds of data centers. Okay. So each and every region will be having hundreds of miles of distance. Let's say if you consider South India, which is Chennai, and there is one more data center in India itself, a data center region, which is Central India, and it is Pune. So there is a distance between these regions, and within these regions, there will be multiple data centers. Okay, and if you look at this is the next level, which you'll be able to understand when we discuss the concept. So these are just some sample images which I have brought to show you how the data center uh, buildings across the globe looks. So this is a Quincy data center capability, and you can see that how big it is. So from this end to the other end, and it has got number of buildings within one capacity. It means within one area. So likewise, there are multiple buildings which you can see which are supporting for that region. Even if you want, you can deploy the data center. Sorry, you can deploy any service in Australia, in India, or in US. No need to travel there. So you can deploy by setting it from the location where you are. So that is where each and every company is attracting to go to cloud platform, and they can save huge cost out of this. So these are some sample images that I am showing here just to make you understand better. This is inside the data center, how it looks. Okay, so it has got a very neat and clean capacity like server, storage, services, everything is deployed with the right hardware, because for each and every application you need to have a right hardware so that you can use it. And see here, this is Dublin data center capability, and Amsterdam. So, and they've got self-sustainable power capacity as well. And this data center is like, these are the pics which has been taken when they were deploying undersea data centers. Okay, so you can see that, and this is undersea capability that they are trying to deploy, and it is live, especially in Dubai area, like Middle East area. They have deployed undersea or underwater data center. Okay, so they have considered each and everything like dust and gaseous contamination, oxidation and moisture, temperature, everything has been taken care to deploy those underwater undersea data center. Even they have taken all these uh, mammals which are there under the water, like fish and some other water mammals. So they've got all this, they've considered all this. Okay, so when any customer, because let's say I'm from banking industry, my first question is why should I use cloud platform, and am I going to get a benefit out of it? What is the security level? Because data centers are somewhere in the remote location. If I save my customer data in your data center, how secure it is, right? All these questions will come. So what is the guarantee that you are going to give it to me if there is any outage happening? So all these questions will come even for you as an individual and for an enterprise who is going to invest more and more. Okay, even if you go to shopping, you'll be doing some researches even for small things. But here, when any enterprise is entering into this kind of cloud platforms, they will look even deeper in all the parameters, not only in one area. Okay, so then only they are going to enter into that. So considering all of this, already there are many of the customers utilizing this, cloud platforms. And if you still wanted to know more, yes, you can research and get a benefit out of all these researches. Okay. So even for networking, what if one network is down? So or the data centers are network resilient? Yes, everything is already taken care. You don't need to worry about the internal data center network capacity. All right. If there is any network which is down, still there are multiple lines which you can get your business up and running without any issues. Okay. So everything is taken care, and you can see all these lines, the cable lines that has been deployed across the locations, millions of servers. See here, you can transfer 72 terabytes per second between the data center to data center. It means consider 72 terabytes, not even I'm not saying 1 MB or 1 GB. It is 72 terabytes per second between Azure to Azure data center networks. So it is super fast network in between the data center. So I'm just giving this information as an additional benefit for you to make you understand, because most of you are new to this, so you'll be able to understand it clearly. Right. These are some images again, and from Spain to USA, there is a network connection which you can send 160 terabytes per second from Spain data center to USA data center, which is too far, and you can see within this map itself. So they've got underwater cables, and they are going to use that capacity. And you can see here 6,600 kilometers or 4,000 miles. Okay, so everything is taken care, and you can see some metrics here. So this we call it as Microsoft Azure Backbone Networks. So this is a kind of big PPT. I'll share it with you. Just, I mean, this is having like 70 MB of size, so I'll see how I can share it with you. And yeah, these are relevant, but if I cover all these topics, it will be confused. So we will see this again once we move on to the next level of topics. So that's it for